Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. We're looking at Psalm 106. Psalm 106. You know, if you want to read something in the New Testament that goes right along with this chapter, is the book of Hebrews, especially the first five chapters. And I'd encourage you to do that. Also, the book of Exodus and the book of Numbers recounts many of the stories that are listed or recounted or recalled in this chapter 106. Now we're down to verse 28, okay? So we've watched the people of Israel come out of Egypt. We watched them make a golden calf. We watched them rebel at the waters of Marah, where the waters were bitter. And we just see time and time again, the spies go into the land, come back with an evil report. Joshua and Caleb only give good report, a faithful report. God, yes, there's giants in the land, but our God is bigger, and we'll eat those giants for breakfast. I mean, our problems become food for our soul, because when we're weak, that's when we're strong. When we're going through a tough time, that's when we really trust the Lord. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, and that's what Paul said he learned, and that's what we should learn. Now, we're down to verse 28. So the people are still now in the wilderness, and this probably happened toward the end of the wilderness journey when they get up near what today would be probably Amman, Jordan, and that area, just before they're getting ready to go into the promised land. And so, but what happens? Verse 28, they joined themselves also to Baal of Peor. Now, Baal was the god of the Moabites, and we'll see this in a minute. They ate sacrifices made to the dead. Thus they provoked him, that's God, to anger with their deeds, and the plague broke out among them. Then Phinehas stood up and intervened, and the plague was stopped, and that was accounted to him for righteousness to all generations forever. Now, this is the story that you read about in Numbers chapter 22 through 24. And this is the story of the king of Moab hiring Balaam to come and curse the people of Israel. And they go up on a mountain, they look over the nation of Israel camped down in the valley below, and then the king of Moab says, now curse these people, curse them, they're too big, God has done such great things for them, give them a curse. And Balaam said, man, I can only do what God tells me to do. And instead of cursing them, God turns the curse that he tries to curse them with into a blessing upon Israel. And this happens several times. And finally the king of, and you know the story of the donkey, Balaam's donkey, talking to him and trying to keep him from going to do this job of cursing, because he's been promised all kind of gold and silver, etc. Amazing story. And the donkey talks, and then even more amazing, Balaam talks back to the donkey and says some things. But you read that there in the book of Numbers. But here God says, then what happens? Balaam actually encourages them. I tell you what you do, instead of fighting and cursing them, invite them to come down and have meals with you and cohabitate with their women, and you won't take long. They'll be right there doing the same things you're doing, and they get their eyes off of God. And so the temptation of the flesh, that was what captured these people, the nation of Israel at that point. And God was so angry, he was ready to destroy them and even begin to send a plague amongst them where they were dying. But then Phinehas, a man of God, stood up between God and the plague and cried out for God to stop it. He killed the person that was doing this sin of adultery right in front of the eyes of having with this Moabite woman, and God just stopped the plague at that point, and he saved the nation of Israel because of Phinehas's standing in between. And then it says in verse 32, they angered him at the waters of strife, so that it went ill with Moses on account of them, because they rebelled against his spirit, and he spoke rashly with his lips. And this is the story, of course. Moses finally just has it, and he's the meekest man in all the earth, the scripture says, but he just loses it. And he says some things he shouldn't say. You bunch of rebels, I've had enough of you, so to speak. And God says, whoops, because you have now said this, you struck the rock. This time when I told you just to speak to it, he said, you just lost your ticket into the Holy Land. So because of this sin, this is recounted that Moses was not able to enter the promised land. He could only see it from the Mount of Nebo before they went into the land, but he had to die over in the wilderness himself. Now, my friend, keep your eyes on the Lord. walk in His ways every day, and I'm telling you, He'll see you through. Don't be like these people over and again. God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.